Hello, warriors. Welcome to the U Movement. I am B. And I wanted to hop on today and talk a little bit about inner child work. I believe I have an inner child work playlist. Check it out. If I don't, I'm going to make one. Because I have talked about inner child stuff a good bit in this awakening path. But before I do get down into it, you can see it's about 5 o'clock here, and I've basically shut down my day. I'm just out of a nice bath. I'm in my snugglies. I'm really catering to the energy of the inner child. And that's because that has been the vibe that has been coming up since about 5 this morning. So last night, Spirit did not want me to sleep. So I was up most of the night, which I was kind of happy about because in my awakening, I lost a good bit of my regular way of being, my old way of being. And some of those things I actually miss. Some of them not so much, but some of them I miss, like my ability to focus and get shit done. Spirit's like, you do too much, lady. You need to learn how to rest. So on this awakening path, my ability to focus, to organize, to get things done seemed to go fly away. And in so doing, there's a lot of messes that I need to now clean up in my surroundings and just in my life. And one area that I needed to clean up desperately was my laptop, because when I've been editing videos, if you don't have enough storage space, you can't do half the things you need to do. And it kept giving me warnings. So I was snuggled in bed and went through purging, because we purge a lot on an awakening journey. But this time I was purging on the computer. Old files, moving things into external hard drives, compressing, reorganizing, and like, this is my jam. This is my jam. I love organization and efficiency. So being on this awakening path where there was just a shit show, and I was managing the best I could, wasn't my comfort zone. My ego didn't like it, but you learn to surrender. So first thing I want to just talk a little bit about in relation to kind of inner child stuff is the sleep thing that I was just brought up. I couldn't sleep. There was just no sleep to be had. So I was like, okay, well, since I can't sleep, I'm going to do something. So I want to talk a little bit about sleep in reference to inner child work, because on your awakening, part of the awakening process is learning to surrender over and over and over again. So that means surrendering old ways of being. So if you were a doer, you're going to have to learn to be in the countering energy of not doing. And if you're a not doer, my guess is you're going to have to learn the countering energy of doing. And if you're an overworker, you're going to have to learn to rest. And if you've been a little bit on the too much rest and not enough accomplishment, you're going to be pushed into the opposing energy, because ultimately you're being brought back into neutrality, which is in a place of balance. You got to balance both sides of the coin, both energies into a place of balance. And sleep is something that we have a lot of very rigid beliefs around. And rigid beliefs don't mix with Kundalini. Kundalini does not like rigid beliefs except for its own. So we have these rigid beliefs that, one, we need to sleep at nighttime. Nighttime is when we sleep. And so therefore, if we're not sleeping at nighttime, there's got to be something wrong. Well, Kundalini doesn't give a crap about daytime, nighttime. It really doesn't. It's going to have you awake when it wants to have you awake, because at certain times of the night, specifically between 2 and 4 a.m., the veil is thinnest. So performing an energetic download for you is going to be easier in those hours. So it wants you maybe awake, or maybe wants you asleep. So let go and surrender schedules. Surrender, I go to sleep at 11 o'clock and I have to sleep 8 hours, and I have to sleep at nighttime. I understand that might be very difficult if you have a 9-to-5 job. But if you work for yourself, or Kundalini has taken your job away from you, or you are retired, or you're a stay-at-home mom, or you are in a situation where, there's a little bit more fluidness that could potentially be afforded to you, my advice to you is stop resisting the lack of sleep or the excess of sleep, because it's coming back into balance. So you may be needing to sleep more, or you may be needing to sleep less, or you may be needing to sleep at nighttime, or you may be needing to sleep at daytime. And basically sleep when you can. Let go of the 3D matrix ideal of what sleep looks like. Because if we think to our earliest being, our earliest consciousness in this human form as an infant, infants don't give a crap what time it is. If they're hungry at 3 a.m., they're going to wake up and let you know. If they need to go pee at 4:30, they're going to wake up in a soggy nappy and potentially let you know. And, a healthy parent will come to the child and soothe maybe the child just wakes up because it's lonely. Because in our Western culture, which is crazy in my opinion, we have this belief that as soon as this baby comes out from us, we need to put it in its own room. Away from us. And that's nonsensical when it comes to the biologic needs of a mammalian infant. If you look at other mammals, or you look at tribal culture, an infant would sleep with its mother. So it's out of the womb, but now it's on the chest, it's on the breast, it's wrapped up and attached to you for another at least 2 years until it learns to walk and go its own way. So in our culture, in Western culture, we've had a lot of really bad advice that has caused a lot of trauma and inner child wounds from as young as conception, actually, because there is in the womb consciousness, and therefore if you were marinating in a pool of, I don't want this baby, which I was, this was an unplanned pregnancy, I don't want this, what are we going to do, stress, you're cooking a baby in stress energy. Or maybe there's a birthing trauma that came about if the birth was particularly difficult, or anything like that. And then outside, where was the baby taken? Was the baby taken right away? My son definitely probably has some birth traumas, because I was in labor for like 36 hours. It was a difficult labor. Ended up being a forceps delivery. So I don't think he has any conscious recognition of this, but on a soul level, I'm sure he remembers being like, hurry up, it's time to come out. And I don't want to come out, I'm not ready yet, So there's all kinds of traumas, and then outside of the womb, choices that are made by parents, because in the 1970s, formula started becoming popularized, and a lot of parents or mothers made the decision that they weren't going to breastfeed. And I am of the opinion that the breast is best. And I know there's many circumstances. I'm not putting down anybody anywhere who made other choices. I'm simply saying from a nurturing perspective, from the biological needs of a mammalian child, being on the breast and having the nurturing that comes with that is, and it's not always possible, but is always the preferred, and all the nutrients that you get from the breast. So there may have been feeding wounds, and Freud would have a heyday picking these wounds apart. And then nurturing wounds of closeness. Some doctor, I don't know if it was Dr. Spock, actually, but some doctor that really did a huge damage to society as a whole. Some people came along and made great innovations in science, and psychology is a weird science, because it's a lot of conjecture and opinion that becomes a science because it's a doctor saying it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it was beneficial. We've made a lot of errors in medical treatments over the last 200 years, a lot. And one of those that made was a lot of made a bad, and I don't know, this person needs to be held accountable from spirit, is whatever doctor said, just put a baby in a crib and let it cry. Just let it cry itself out. So what are you teaching? What consciousness is that? It is telling a little infant, you're not important. I'm not going to protect you. I'm not going to save you. I'm not going to comfort you. You're on your own. So there you are, 3 months old, 6 months old, and you're wailing, crying, and your body is in a state of extreme trauma and wounding, and your consciousness is too small to be able to process that. And so eventually your body gives out, and that doesn't mean that the trauma gives out and goes away. That's locked in your body for the rest of your life, until you start doing somatic trauma release and inner child healing. So that is a devastating piece of medical advice that a lot of people suffered from. More very bad parenting advice through the years was that spanking was appropriate. And I was spanked severely as a child, and I can tell you that was traumatizing. For me, beyond traumatizing. I'm not talking about just like a little pat on the buttocks. And if there's parents out there that disagree with me, that's fine. You're allowed to disagree with me. I'm probably not the right person for you. Because I strongly am against any form of corporal punishment in child rearing because of the degree of trauma to the nervous system of a young infant, toddler, child that then they carry with them for life. So in my opinion, from personal experience, as well as everything that I've researched in psychological development in regards to, Freudian theories, as well as all the other theories of psychological development that I would lean more into Adler's theories in regards to child development and child rearing practices. So I am very against corporal punishment as a form of discipline. I'm not saying that children shouldn't be disciplined. I'm just saying children shouldn't be hit to be disciplined, because that sends the message that you're not safe. It sends the message that your body isn't sacred. It sends the message that somebody has the right to overpower you. It sends the message that you have no autonomy over your physical form. It sends a lot of messages and causes a splintering of your psyche, which is what is the development of inner child wounds. So like our inner child wounds, and I've discussed this in previous videos, if you want to imagine, we're this crystalline ball, and then we have all these traumas due to the way that we have been raised, and that ball falls on the floor and fractures off all kinds of aspects of self. So I don't follow the teachings that we have a solitary inner child. I follow more of an archetypical understanding of Jung's theories in regards to we have multiple child wounds. Every time there's a child wound, it's another fracturing. So whether that was an in the womb wound, a birth wound, an infancy, not being fed, not being nurtured, not being touched, being ignored in your pleas for help and assistance, being left to cry, being disciplined with physical and corporal punishment, perhaps if you had a narcissistic parent, being bullied, being ridiculed, being mocked, all of those types of shame-inducing energies, physical punishment, sexual assault, sexual situations with family members, which is like soul murder, because it really is a devastating wound to have that type of infiltration to your space. So it's about creating healthy bonding with others, but still allowing a child to develop into their own sense of self. So as we go through this awakening process, we are in a constant state of retrieving all these fractured aspects of self, our wounded child, and doing inner child work all the way along. You may not know it as inner child work when all of a sudden you're having an emotional release or an emotional flashback, and you're just overtaken by an emotion that seems huge, fear, anxiety, shame, rage, all of these repressed emotions, because as a child, when these horrific situations were happening to you, or as well as when you were being ignored, there was an absence of nurturing. So it's not just what happened to you, it's also what didn't happen to you. If you're not being nurtured, you're not being soothed, you're not being cared for, you're not being touched, you're not given affection. Both sides of the coin is going to create some severe traumas, and those traumas don't just go away because we grow up and pretend to be fine. Those traumas are locked within our body and within our auric field, and we need to address them and deal with them. So just like the child, the newborn, we have to alter us. There's the thinking that the child is supposed to come into the adult's world, when really it's the adults that need to come into the child's world. So when a baby is born, a healthy parent will sleep when the child sleeps. It will be like, I'm tired, it's the middle of the day, I was up all night breastfeeding, I'm gonna sleep now. And we need to do that to our own inner child. So as emotional stuff is coming up, your sleep schedule may get all out of whack, and treat it like you're treating yourself for your own woundings and your own inner infant that needs some love and attention at that time. And so what happened is I was up all night and I'm in this adult energy, I'm accomplishing a lot, I'm doing well, and then all of a sudden this like wave of emotion came over me, and I was like, whoa, I don't know where this is coming from, but I just said, okay, I'm going to reparent myself and do somatic movement through this. So again, this is the inner child in me needed love and affection in that moment. And so I allowed the tears to come, the purge to come. I allowed, it's okay, this too will pass. Because on this journey of awakening, you will come face to face with your inner child wounds and your inner children. And I like to actually visualize them and see them and know from the time from whence they were born, the fracturing existed. And sometimes you're like, wow, this is early. This is like 6 months old. I can feel this in my, like, I can remember one of the first times this happened. All of a sudden, I was down on the ground. Now, this would have been right near after my Kundalini awakening, and I just fell to the ground, and I was like splayed out, wailing, crying. Just all that came over my head was this impulse of wanting to be picked up, like underneath my shoulder blades, where a parent would pick you up. It was like I was lying there waiting for someone to pick me up. And I mean, I was just wailing, crying, and I was on the floor for about 45 minutes, just wailing, crying, going, okay, I'm really glad nobody is home right now, because, they're going to think I'm losing it. But I was still in early days and still figuring it out at that stage. And as each inner child wound surfaces, it's like I commune with that inner child and talk to that inner child and see, how old are you? Where are you? What is it you need? And a lot of my inner children, and I've put like photographs around my room of me at different age periods, and I've found that exceptionally useful tool to be able to like see that earlier version of myself and be like, oh my God, what you went through it is crazy. So like I talked about the difference of what the bad things that happened to you as well as the things that didn't happen to you. And for me, because I was adopted and put through the Children's Aid and went to a couple foster cares before I was finally adopted, there's a lot of terror and fear because I was consciously aware that I had a family and now I don't have a family, and now I'm surrounded by strangers, and these strangers are doing strange things, and I have to pretend that everything's okay, So early consciousness taught me from the age of 2 to shut down a lot of emotions. It wasn't safe to emote. And that inner me felt abandoned. And so that wound perpetuated itself out throughout my entire life in me abandoning me. So as you retrieve these inner children, if there's a wounding that is an abandonment wound, you need to coax these children gently and calmly and lovingly and be there for them and say to them, listen, I am never, ever going to abandon you again. And how we abandon ourselves is by repressing all of the emotions and saying, shh, don't do that, or smoke, throw that emotion away, drink, throw that emotion away. So all the ways that I have coped, and we know there's a plethora of ways, unhealthy coping mechanisms that I choose. And listen, those were the best options I had at the time. I didn't have better options. So we're not going to beat ourselves up because we drank or we smoke or we used sex or we used relationship or, porn addiction. It's not something I have, but I have lots of clients that resonates with. So, that's a self-soothing. That too is an inner child wound of, I need to find a quick fix to soothe some of these emotions and release what I'm feeling, it's a release. So there is no shaming attached to any of the coping strategies that we have used to keep all our emotions and our inner children at bay. But when we do the healing work, the inner child work, is one, we need to forgive ourselves for abandoning our inner child as well. We didn't know any better. That was what we were taught. We were taught nobody shows up for ourselves. I better not show up for myself either. I better repress that shit because nobody cares. So we need to start caring. We need to be the parent that we never had. We need to be, whether that be in an absence of energy or too much of negative energies coming in. So if and you'll see how your wounds play out by how you talk to yourself and what the record is and what the behaviors are. So if there's an abandonment wound, you may be abandoning yourself by shoving down McDonald's instead of eating healthy foods because it was a quick fix. So did your family, and then it bears the question, was food shoved in my mouth to shut me up as a child? And if so, here, have a sucker. Was a soother put into your mouth? Was something put into your mouth to stop you from communicating? Because a child only knows how to communicate through screaming. It's not that they are trying to be irritating. It's not like they're born with a full vocabulary. No, they're born with, I want something. That's what that means. I want something. And then you need to figure out what that something is. And so if it was too overwhelming for a parent because of their own trauma, generational trauma that had been passed down, because of alcoholism, because of their own personality issues, perhaps undiagnosed narcissistic personality disorder or other emotional disorders that weren't even in the DSM back in 1960 or 70. Were they a single parent? Were they, did they go through a divorce? Were they from a war-torn country? Was their poverty? Did they have their own abuses that they hadn't dealt with? And so there's 101 reasons why our parents failed in whatever way. And it's not a question of blaming anyone. If somebody didn't have the capacity to give you what you needed, it's because they didn't have it given to them. So it's a lack of an energy. It's that I talk about, the game of go fish. Do you have any twos? No. Okay, I'm going to go fish. So they didn't have any twos. They weren't raised perhaps with patience, with love, with understanding, with good parenting advice. Perhaps they were getting really crappy advice from Dr. Spock. I think it was Dr. Spock that told them to let the baby cry or told them to spank. So there's a lot of reasons why a parent was unable to provide you with the nurturance that you needed. And so now, as adults going through a spiritual awakening with inner child wounds surfacing, it's our job now, and you might get frustrated and go, well, why do I have to fix this? I didn't mess it up. Well, that's because your soul said, I'm going to come down and I'm going to break this chain. I'm going to break this legacy of passing on these wounds from one generation to the next. I'm not going to spank my kids. I'm not going to let my baby cry in the crib. I'm not going to allow sexual assault to happen. I'm not going to be an alcoholic in the presence of my kids. I'm going to change things. I'm going to break the cycle. I am a cycle breaker. I am a warrior. And so a warrior's work is very difficult because first we need to go off into our own landscape within self and retrieve all of these inner children and then convince these inner children that they're safe, that they're loved, that they're worthy, that they're sacred, that they're divine, that they're cared for, that they're protected. All of the things that you didn't get, you now have to step up and be. So then the question is, well, how can I be something that I never received? How can I be love when I never received love? Well, it's born in you. God gave it to you. If you're watching my channel, you are probably a light worker, an empath, a starseed, any of those energies. And so you always sensed in you that there was something that you were missing. And maybe you were the scapegoat. Maybe you were the truth teller. Maybe you were triggering all of those around you because you were just emanating out energies. So you have to dig within self. To step up and be all of the things that you never received. So you need to be the father figure to your inner child and learn how to protect yourself, create healthy boundaries, to provide for yourself, to give yourself the time, the attention, the play, be the inner parent, the mother. Talk to yourself, nurturing. If you had like a very harsh, critical mother, like I did, your inner critic might be exceptionally judgmental. Like my inner critic is like a total bitch. Like she is insane. The things I would say to all of you out there, every single human on the entire planet, are not the same things I would say to myself. I say things to myself I wouldn't say to a human anywhere. I wouldn't say to an animal. I wouldn't say to anyone. But to me, I'm like, you're so stupid. You're fuck up. You know, like I say the meanest things ever to myself. So we need to listen to how we talk to ourselves, because that is not the nurturing mother that we should have had. So whatever it is that we should have had, what we needed at that time, we need to give it to ourselves now and reparent those inner children. And it's going to take time. Because we've been ignoring them our whole lives. Shh, don't be anxious. I'm gonna have a cigarette. Shh, don't be angry. I'm gonna people please. Don't complain. Don't. And I'm gonna say something quickly about complaining, because somebody asked me the other day. You know, they apologized. They said, "I'm sorry, I'm not complaining." And I said, "You're not complaining." And they're like, "Am I not?" And I'm like, "No. Telling your story is not complaining. Telling the truth is not complaining. If somebody repetitively told you over and over again, stop complaining, that was them projecting and gaslighting you so that you would stop talking. Because complaining, there's a difference. Think of a family in a car and the kids in the back of the car, and the kids like, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet? I'm tired. Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" That's complaining. If a child's in the back of the car going, "I really feel like I need to go pee soon. I'm not feeling very comfortable. I'm really quite hungry, in fact." Those things aren't complaining. Those are explaining and stating what is. So there's a difference between stating what is and complaining, okay? And a lot of people, and I think society as a whole, gaslights people in many, many ways, because if collectively we've not been in an energy of being able to provide within the family unit, then we can't provide within the community unit, you know. So if everybody's indoctrinated to kids should put up and shut up, kids are meant to be seen and not heard, boys shouldn't cry, that's a devastating wound right there. Girls should be pretty, and smile, look pretty, be smile. And you know, girls shouldn't get angry. And then we go and we further perpetuate the gaslighting of shutting people's emotions down by saying, you know, don't air your dirty laundry in public. Well, where the hell are you supposed to air it? People air their laundry outside so that it dries. So air your dirty laundry wherever you want to air it, so it gets air, instead of shoving it in a damp closet where it's going to get mildew. So we got a whole bunch of mildew going on in our emotion center because we're not letting anything out to air. So stating your story is not complaining. It's communicating. It's self-expression. So we have to allow our inner children to learn that it's safe to express themselves, that they're okay, that they are safe, that they are protected, and through boundary work and everything else, you gently over time like coax that inner child to be like, it's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry. I'd be angry too if that happened to me. That's an angering, the way that person talked to me, talk to you, yeah, absolutely, I'd be angry too. It's okay to communicate. It's okay to express yourself. It's okay. And if somebody's like saying it's not okay and getting in your face, then those are not your people. You need to like, that's when boundaries are erected, because that's not a safe environment for your inner children. And on this awakening, more and more you cut off toxic people who are still carrying toxic ideals. You know, these people that post memes and say, you know, I was spanked as a kid and I'm fine. You know, meanwhile, they're like just showing you a really nasty minimization of any compassion to anybody else that experienced abuse, you know? So all the bullying and all the this, that, and the other, like, block these people. You don't need it. Posts that are like insensitive and minimizing, devaluing, argumentative, hate-filled, that's, God gave us the block button, man. Block all the nonsense out of your life so that you create a safe environment in your home, in your body, in the world around you, so that those inner children can begin to come out of hiding in the darkness where they've been lost for decades, and we can hold them in our arms and remind them that it's okay. It's okay. Love them the way they should have been loved, always the first time around. Love them and love yourself the way you would love your own child now, with soft, caring, gentle, compassionate, soothing, comforting, soft clothes. I'm not going to push myself too hard and work too hard. You know, I'm going to let myself rest when I need rest. I'm going to eat when I need food. I'm going to not force myself to eat food when I don't need food. Another indoctrination that we've put on kids. You know, I grew up in a household where you had to eat absolutely everything off your plate or you were not allowed to leave the table. What is that sending? What message is that sending to a child that's saying, ignore your own bodily functions and reactions and force yourself into a state of discomfort? And, you know, it's no wonder that people have overeating as an issue when societally said, or that nonsense that there's starving kids in Africa. Well, that has nothing to do with the 5-year-old here who's got a plate of food and they're full. Them being full is them being full. It's not like they can mail the food somewhere else. So, you know, many people were raised these kind of nonsense that shut down their own intuitive signals, the intuitive signals of when my body is tired, when my body is hungry, when my body needs to go to the bathroom. We're not there yet. Hold it. You know, did you get that one as well? When you're on a car ride somewhere and you have to go pee and you're told to cross your legs and hold it, it's just going to be another half hour or hour drive. I thought I was going to you know, drown in my own urine because I had to hold in when we were on the road. No, we're not stopping, you know. So all these ways that we are our own instinctual, our own biological, our own psychological needs were shoved down, repressed. You know, it boggles my mind to think of all the men out there that have this abundance of tears that need to be cried. And, you know, they call it a beer belly. I don't. I call it a tear belly. Those are all those tears that you've been drinking down, swallowing down, and not crying. Perhaps what needs to happen is, more men's circles where it's encouraged for men to have the biological release that is crying. That to me is the most manly warrior work everywhere. A man that can own his emotions. Whoa, that isn't disconnected from his emotional center, that isn't, blocked off in that regard. Like, that's a major energetic blockage. So there's all these kind of gaslit belief structures that have disconnected from our instinctual and intuitive way of being. And because of that, our inner children, and there will be a plethora of them, our inner children are hidden in the dark places, hidden in the shadows. And that's when our shadows come out and activate. There's an excellent resource called The Shadow Effect that has a collective of authors, Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, I think, is also in it, and a couple others. It's a video as well as a book that you can read. And they compare the shadows as like beach balls. So you go to the beach and you have a bunch of beach balls and you try to shove those things underwater. What's going to happen is pop! They're going to pop out at inappropriate time. So that child that wasn't soothed and didn't get her needs met, maybe she was like me and had night terrors. I had a lot of night terrors as a child, and for a short window of time, my mother was wearing the "I'm a mother" hat, and then I don't think she could just tolerate it very much. She's like, "This is too much work" or something. But I had the samples, and narcissistic people aren't nasty all of the time. That's where there's the give, that's where there's the love-hate relationship that comes in. And I can remember there were a couple of times as a child that she held me after these night terrors in a rocking chair, and I can still see this rocking chair clearly, see me in a rocking, and those moments were like what I needed most. I needed probably about 50,000 more of those moments. I didn't get enough of those moments, but those sample moments were enough that's what my inner child craved. My inner child wanted more and more. So this is one reason why I'm a strong believer in hammock therapy, because it holds you. It creates a swaddling energy of being held energetically for the inner child. So for inner child work, hammock time is very good, so that I can give myself that energy now. And so because I wouldn't get that energy, if I was needing to be held, and I was needing in my life, if I wasn't receiving the kind of affection, and that's what it is, it's touch and affection, I started searching for affection in all the wrong places, through relationship and boyfriend. So, when I felt a lack of affection is when that beach ball would bump up because it's an unhealed trauma, and I'd be like, ah! I would respond out of like inner child place of being like, why do you never hug me? Almost like sulking and stuff like that. So you may find your shadows come up, which are identifying for you different energies that needed. It's the inner child wound that's speaking through you through the shadow, but we're still in a repressing state. So it might be a child that needs affection. It might be a child that needs to be heard, have their rage heard, especially if there's certain abuses, and that child never had the opportunity to express sacred rage. And rage is sacred. Rage is powerful. It does need to be heard. And so allowing yourself to express your rage and hold your child through the rage and allow it to be expressed in those moments is how we stop pushing the beach balls down and do the shadow work and bring it back into wholeness, bring ourselves back into a state of unification. So the vibe tonight, today is very inner child's wounds coming up and surfacing. I pulled a card just for myself, and I was like, oh yes, I'm gonna address this, because the card is a deep replenishment. You can see here this feminine figure here, and it says retreat, rest, and be held. So that is my one little bit of advice for you today is retreat, rest when you are tired. If you're tired at 4:30, and don't push yourself. Don't be like, oh, I need to clean this, and this, or I'm a bad person. It will be clean tomorrow. It doesn't matter. Little bits by little bits. On your awakening, you surrender to the fact that things will get cleaned and organized, and when they do. It's been 3 years since I've been able to organize my computer, and finally I've got it, so give yourself surrender to spirit. It's almost like she's surrendering up to spirit. Okay, I'm surrendering. So retreat from people, places, groups, individuals. Create a sanctuary in your own home somewhere where, if you don't already have a hammock, and I love this one because it comes with its own stand. I can take it apart and bring it back outside in the summer, but get yourself a hammock if you can afford it. I lucked out and got this with my air miles, so I got it for free. It's my favorite price. Or if not, like a nice little cozy reading nook with lots of pillows and fuzzy blankets and like a teddy bear, your fuzzy cat, your bedroom, light some candles, burn some incense, make it a sensual experience for your inner child. And I don't mean sensual as in like sexual. I mean like all the sensories are being like catered to. Some lovely scents that you can use for your inner child are lavender, which is very, very soothing. I like orange or neroli because they're very good for the sacral area there, which are comforting, especially if you're dealing with energies of depression or dark vibes. Neroli oil is beautiful, or anything citrus is a little bit more uplifting and sweet smelling. Vanilla as well might be like a really nice kind of warm, comforting kind of scent. Get your cozies on, like your fuzzies, your warm, take off anything that's tight, restricting. I don't wear anything tight and restricting anymore at all. My inner child is free all the time. I don't put anything on my body that is any way, shape, or form too elasticized. I long ago burned the bra. And got rid of any undergarments that were like restrictive. That's just a hard no from my body. My body wants to be free. And give yourself a nice, soothing, warm, sensual bath. Listen to my playlist. I've made multiple playlists on Spotify. The You Movement, Awakening 2. Awakening 2 is a really inner child based playlist that's all about soothing and comforting and real nice messages that everything's okay and you are loved and you are a child of light. So really positive vibe kind of messages to the child. Allow yourself to touch yourself again. There's another like crazy thing that we've taught kids. I don't know if it's really, maybe it's my age group showing, but I was raised with the don't touch yourself. And maybe because I'm autistic, I took that literally to mean like anywhere. I didn't realize it was just like, you're not supposed to touch her there. So I never grew up giving myself affection. And so in this process of inner child work, I've learned to do a lot of physical touching and, and hugging myself, because, you miss the hugs. I miss the hugs. I've had a couple hugs in my life that just blew my mind, and I miss those. I miss that. So you have to give it to yourself. And yeah, it's not the same, but you do what you got to do. So burn, if you don't have aromatherapies that you have, burn some nice incense to create a soothing atmosphere. Put nice light a candle, as I said, or get yourself some soft, soothing lighting, just soft, gentle. Think of how you would treat a child and treat yourself that way. Give yourself the love that you deserved to have been given to you all along. Give it to yourself now. Guilt-free, shame-free. I'm going to touch myself and I'm going to like it. I am getting to know who I am, and sometimes I'll just, now, and I don't, again, mean in a sexual way, but there's nothing wrong in a sexual way either, of learning to love your body and get familiar with your body as a sensual experience. I think that because this is all sacral chakra stuff that's happening, and we're dealing with here emotions, boundaries, soothing, gentle, nutrients. This is our womb space. And it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, we all have a womb space because we all have like that sacral chakra energy there. And for too long in society, I'm going to just throw this out there because I had mentioned earlier that some of the coping mechanisms that people use when they have childhood wounds is to seek those childhood energies in relationships. So whether that be, love addiction, whether that be a relationship trauma bond addiction, whether that be the hookup culture, whether that be, porn addiction, whether that be a constant, using of sex, and claiming back our divinity and claiming back is to reparent ourselves through our own sexualization as well, and realize that we are sensual beings, and when there was a divide, there was a division that was made between sensuality and sexuality, and these societal ideas of what sex is all about. Refamiliarize with yourself with discovering who you are. All of you, as an inner child, as an inner infant, as an inner adolescence. Claim back your adolescence that was also stolen from you if you were made to feel dirty or shameful or in any way, shape, or form. And just, what's it like to stroke your leg? Just your leg. Just love on your a leg, your thigh, your foot, your arm. Touch your body in a nurturing and loving and kind and affectionate way that gives you ownership back over yourself, and takes back the sacredness that is your body, that is your sensuality, that is your sexuality, that is your spiritual maturation, because that's what it is we're going through and we're regrowing ourselves from conception within the womb, to our birth, to our infancy, to our toddler years, to our childhood, to our early adolescence, and to our young adulthood, as well as maybe even throughout our adult lives. And so in retrieving all the woundeds, in retreating into ourselves, in our isolation, in our hermiting, and allowing ourselves to rest, restore, replenish, reparent, and holding ourselves and loving the fuck out of ourselves, and that is the real spiritual warrior's quest. So if you need some help, I did a video a while back called Reparenting Through Difficult Emotions. It's just an audio meditation that you can listen to if you're struggling with that sacral area, which is our emotional center, water energy, lots of water energy coming. So if you're releasing deep emotions, inner child wounds, emotional flashbacks, and you're struggling with all of this, and you would like me to help guide you through it, please listen to that audio while you're going through these emotions. With the really, really difficult stuff, I always recommend that you set a timer for 25 minutes and say, for the next 25 minutes, I'm going to allow my inner child to do whatever it wants to do. If it wants to scream, shout, cry, wail, punch the pillow, emote, sensate itself. It's too hot, it's too cold, it's too itchy, it's whatever. Give yourself a 25-minute window to fully express, to learn how to express all of that stuff that's locked away in that area just underneath the belly button. So that is my video for today. It is all about reparenting, remothering, refathering, reparenting yourself through the difficult emotional releases, because we're being squeezed out. All that stuff, that all those emotions, all those wounds are being squeezed out for our own purification and our own spiritual maturation. So that we can be in alignment with our highest and greatest selves, and be who we were always meant to be, without all the crap and the nonsense and the crazy and the mean and the abuse that had been placed upon us throughout the years. So let's clear it out and I can breathe again. I can feel free again. I can be me again. I'm allowed to be me is the root chakra consciousness, and I am allowed to feel is the sacral chakra consciousness. So lower chakras is what we're working on today, folks. And if you want to book with me because you're struggling and you need some help, please send me off an email to justbebeing@gmail.com. Let me know if you're wanting to book a 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour session. We can do a deep dive, 3 hour deep dive. Let's deep dive, go into the muck to unfuck some stuff. If you want, and let's get that set up for you. If you want to join the Spiritual Warriors support group over there on Facebook, hop on in. The link for that is in the description below. If you want to join this Sunday's Spiritual Warrior online Zoom meeting, that is Sundays at 3 p.m. And we can discuss some inner child wounds if that seems to be the theme that's still on play for Sunday. Please hop in, and that's by donation as well. All my services are by donation, so wherever your price point is, there should be a price that works for you. And with that all said, I am sending you all my love, all my love, all my love. It's okay. You got this. You're doing a great job. I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of you. If you didn't hear those types of things growing up, I will say them over and over and over again. You have value. You are doing important warrior work, and you got this. This too shall pass. Peace out, and I love you.